It's Zoo Review, Episode 3. Alright, by this point, we should know all the characters. If you don't, it's your fault for not watching the first 2 episodes. Go back and watch them. Support Smegma95. We need more views for our YouTube.
The fate of the world may hinge on it.
You know, help us out. Watch some videos.
Something very strange is occurring in the animal kingdom, and I'd like your help in getting to the bottom of it.
Why me? I'm not a field agent. My expertise lies in human attacks, not animals.
So you got no field experience. You just met this guy. The only reason you have to trust him is that he says he works for the same agency as you, but you've never met him, or seen him, or heard of him.
Vous et moi, nous travaillons pour les mêmes gens. Seulement, vous n'auriez jamais entendu parler de moi.
He wants to put you in charge of a mission to literally save the world.
The fate of the world may hinge on it.
And you see nothing suspicious about that. Rule number 1 of espionage, trust everyone, especially just strangers you meet on the street who tell you they've been
I've thoroughly vetted you.
watching you.
And now we border treacherously on stalking.
What kind of fucking spy are you? How did you even make it through fucking spy school? Like, if this guy's a government agent, why did he have to bribe that guy to let him in to see the bodies? Like, couldn't you just tell the guy that you're from the government and you need to look at the bodies because you're investigating the murders? You know, before you jump straight to just handing him a envelope full of cash, which raises no questions from anyone, apparently. So then later, there's this scene where our heroes have supposedly been exposed to some very dangerous radiation. And then this guy shows up out of nowhere to just rescue them.
Who are you?
But the guy isn't wearing any sort of protective gear against the radiation, even though he was supposedly there specifically to save them from the radiation. It just doesn't make sense. See, this guy is so fucking suspicious, and everyone's just going along with it. No one gives a shit.
Are you willing to join me?
Like, he's so obviously full of shit and like evil. You know, he's got the goatee and everything. Of course he turns out to be a bad guy, like later in the show. I honestly don't feel like I'm ruining anything for you by telling you that now. The only way that this show can surprise you with anything that happens in the plot is just to bore you so much that you stop paying attention. And I know this because that actually happened to me several times. So now we have our main dude who is on a journey to find his father's lost research about the animals.
Coming to this island worked for your father. He said he finally understood.
Understood what?
I suspect why the animal behavior was changing. I don't know. He did not want to say on the phone. But before I could make the trip out here...
That's a bat.
Wait, a bat?
That's a bat.
You can clearly see that there's a giant cloud of bats flying right towards you. If you could see the one bat, I can see the bats behind it, so you should be able to see the bats behind it. Shouldn't you be freaking out about those bats instead of worrying about the one bat?
That's a bat.
It's like no one was paying attention to what was in the script when they were animating the scene or filming the scene or whatever. Let's talk about this lady. She's the second wife of our main dude's father. And she's introduced into the show for basically the sole function of like spewing out exposition about the main dude's dad. And then they kill her off like 10 minutes later into the episode. Their plane was attacked and then I guess it crashed, but we didn't see that happen. And then they're trying to like resuscitate her on the beach, and the dude is being all passionate about it, but as a viewer, I don't feel anything. I have no basis on which to care about her, other than her like usefulness to advancing the plot, which is a dumb reason for a character to exist in a script. There were many other ways that our guy could have found out the location of his dad's secret lab. Like maybe his dad left him a series of clues, and so he's got to go around finding them, or he's got to like he's got to decode a map or something. But instead they just have him go find this lady who talks at us, and then she's dead. And it's just an empty death. It's really lazy writing to bring in a character who just moves the main characters to the next plot point and then get rid of them. It's like the easiest way to have stuff happen that involves the least amount of creativity or like effort to produce. It's a lot easier to shoot, scenes of fuckers talking to each other than to shoot anything exciting happening. It's especially frustrating because in the last episode, they did almost the opposite thing. They had this subplot about there's a British couple who had traveled to Slovenia to adopt this boy, and then they wanted to take him to the circus, but there's also a dog, and there's just needlessly complicated subplot that basically just boiled down to having the dad get eaten by dogs at the end. And the show doesn't follow up on the family either. Like in the next episode, they're just out of the picture. So it's this like bizarrely long-winded setup for like a throwaway scene of someone getting attacked by animals, which should comprise a greater percentage of the screen time. It's nice to have scenes that kind of help build the atmosphere of the show without being directly related to what the main characters are doing. But when the whole point of that subplot was to show us that getting attacked by dogs is scary. Yeah, I didn't need to know everything about what that guy did all day. And then in this current episode, they introduce this character who seems very relevant to the main central plot line, but they don't develop her at all. It's like this show can't even pick like one way to be terrible.
Removed their eyes.
That was like another case of the script not being translated correctly to the visuals.
Who removed their eyes?
He said, who took their eyes? But there was only one horse. And then the other horse came up. So that was when the line should have been said. Or they should have changed the line to like, who took its eyes? Or anything besides just not caring at all. Was that scab there? Was that scab there in the last shot? Because it kind of looked like it had just empty eye sockets, but now in this shot it has this giant scab.
Equine number 12 at one point attacked my assistant. Biting her hand and removing 2 of her fingers.
You know, that's actually kind of cool. I like the found footage thing. You know, horses are kind of creepy in a weird way. I like the concept of a horse biting someone's hand off. I think it's fun, and I like that it looked like a real horse. So, good scene. Good scene. In case you were curious about what Bloggy and the Professor get up to this episode, I wasn't, but, you know. So, they talk in a restaurant, and then they talk at this counter, and then they talk to this guy in a room with a moose. In a 45-minute TV episode, you couldn't think of one interesting thing for these characters to do besides talk in a room. Seriously? Fuck you. So they go to the graveyard. It's in the blogger's hometown, and she's telling this sad story about how, like, Raiden Global, basically Aaron Brokovich, her hometown.
I was 11 when my mom got sick. She was one of the first ones. Eventually, there were 26 more.
Once again, in this show, we're hearing about a character's like personal baggage, but we're not experiencing it. They could have had her go visit an old friend from her hometown who had cancer, and then we see her friend or relative with cancer give us a more real visual experience of what this character's going through. But, you know, instead, we just get told. We get told that bad stuff has happened, and we're expected to feel bad for the characters. That's it. And it's lazy and it's boring. So, by the end of the episode, our apparently very non-suspicious man of mystery has collected all of our main characters together to, I guess, form some sort of team to fight the animal uprising.
3 Sumatran rhinoceros turned over an SUV belonging to a family of Norwegian tourists. In Wuppertal, Germany, 6 brown bears came out of the Kotten forest, making their way to a playground in mid-afternoon.
Why didn't you show us those scenes? I would have loved to see a playground of children get attacked by marauding bears, or like a rhinoceros attack. That sounds awesome. Instead, we got house cats and stray dogs. How'd the fucking wolf get in there? Like, how'd it, like, over the barbed wire? How did it climb over the barbed wire? Is there a wolf-sized hole in that fence? It's a pretty shitty prison. What's up with the shitty jails in this show? You have the one jail where they were just letting people go.
Look, you have to let me out of here.
Just willy-nilly, and then you have this jail with the wolves in the yard. Maybe that's just the jail yard wolf. It's like their quirky prison pet. Yeah. Jailhouse Wolf. That's the new series coming soon to CBS weeknights. Jailhouse Wolf, the story of a fun-loving jail yard wolf and his wolf pals. Wolves in the jail yard, wolves in the jailhouse, running around, having a blast. You know the deal. Wacky misadventures, comic misunderstandings, and just a lot of wolves. See you next time.